Hi there, my name's Tamara and I'm an educator living in New York City. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a topic that might feel a little intimidating, but it is teaching middle school choir. These tips can be helpful to people who teach beyond just choir or other subjects, but they are specific to choir. Oftentimes in the middle school classroom, you're teaching a very big group of students, and you could also be teaching a lot of students who don't want to be there because they have to do music. So hopefully these tips can help you. I have 12. We're going to kick off with number 1, which is really a general helpful point in middle school teaching, but it is know your students' names. This is a massive challenge though if you are teaching a very large group. My middle school choirs range from 25 to about 45 students. I have in the past also taught over 100 kids at a time, which can be really intimidating. Now, knowing names is not easy because you don't get that one-on-one contact typically in the choir classroom. Things that can really help you though is trying to find photos before you come in, maybe knowing the students before. If you don't have that ability though, perhaps in the first class you can take a big group photo and then start listing out students' names. So when they come in the classroom, you know their name. This is really helpful for classroom management, but it's also a piece of respect to the student. They know your name and you should probably know their name and also know how to pronounce it correctly. I guarantee that that helps behavior, especially if you have a couple of students who are a little rowdy. You can call them out, name them, and it typically diffuses the situation quickly. I typically give myself 2 weeks to get to know them. In a perfect world, their names are known before they come in, but sometimes that also freaks the kids out. So take your time and try and know the students' names as quickly as possible. An app that I really like to use, which is free, is Nameshark. That's super helpful to learn names. And it typically has the photo. If you have a school database that has photos, you can kind of screenshot the little photo and put their name in, and it quizzes you. I really find that helpful. So highly suggest that one, but I'm sure there's a million other activities or games that you can download on your phone to help you learn names. Number 2, which is helpful in the choir classroom, is have a seating plan. Now, you might not know the students and you might not know their vocal parts. That typically happens on day 1. But if I have about 50 kids coming in, I make sure I know how those 50 seats are selected and played out. And typically on a first class, I randomize their classes because especially when they come in, they're already going to socially group together. And you want to try and spread them out and make the feeling of coming in a little bit more welcoming to all students, especially if they're new students to the school. That's very helpful. If you can do voice checks before the first class, that's very helpful. And then you can already, on the first class where they come in as a group, you can name their seats and put them in their chart. Now, this is a sort of seating chart that I have from day 1. It changes all the time. It changes sometimes for socio-behavioral reasons. It sometimes is because of student needs. Some students have to see the front or have focus problems, so they move as well. So it's a very flexible chart, and I put this on the TV projector. If you don't have a TV projector, you could also maybe laminate and put on the wall as they enter. You could do post-its on seats. However, I know students will probably change their seats. So if you do post-its on the seat, also have some sort of map for yourself so you can double check. Number 3, which is just generally helpful for middle school, is to outline your expectations. Outline your expectations on behavior, on homework, which is a little bit different with choir. Are you expecting the kids to go home and learn their part? Also have expectations around going to the restroom, because otherwise they'll be like, every 5 seconds, I need to go to the restroom. You'll be mid-song in this perfect moment where you're all singing, and then someone will put up their hand and go, I want to go to the restroom. So I typically say students that we don't use the restroom in the middle of song. It's usually between a song or one at a time as well, because otherwise they go in groups and they never come back. So that's helpful. Expectations also for the age group should happen more than just the first day of class. It should happen regularly in a gentle way, whether you put it on a slide, you read it at the beginning of class, because they will forget. And also a lot's happening in middle school. They're sometimes very nervous, they're having a bad day, they have a class, they have a fight at home. So regularly reminding them about talking is really helpful. Number 4 is keep music organized. I just assume my students will not practice. I have tried over the years, but it's just kind of a losing game. So I organize the music where I have a box for each choir and each student has a folder with their name on it. I used to keep paper folders, but with pencils, they come back and they have drawn all over them, which is fine. However, they probably should be focusing more. And I know, actually, I probably prefer them to draw on the folder than the music. But anyway, I am going to try plastic folders this year, but I make sure that each of them has a printed label with their name on it, so it's an ownership thing, and their music goes inside it. I do purchase music and have it printed copies given to us, so they have their own individual purchased sheet music in each folder for class. Jumping off that, number 5 is to work with backing tracks for home practice. I don't expect the students to really practice at home, but should we have a performance coming up, I make a backing track. The backing track has a recording of the accompaniment made by my accompanist, and then I personally record each vocal tract. So if I have an SSA, soprano, soprano, alto, I record each of those 3 recordings using my computer and knowing the music. And then I also have a mixed track which has all my 3 voices of the part on it. It's really helpful for at home, especially because a lot of middle schoolers can't read music, especially singers. A lot of singers generally can't read music. So that's a really helpful way of helping them practice at home, especially if you're leading up to a concert and you have a song that you really need them to practice, so when you go on stage you're feeling good. Number 6 for middle school choir is balancing repertoire. I tend to find I like to give a mix of songs they know and songs they don't know. Looking back in my time as a choral star, I really loved all the songs that I didn't know. However, it was a hard sell. Typically, students find new music a little unusual or boring, and it's a bit of a sell. So I tend to kind of sandwich things. I always have a song they might really know, like a pop hit that they love, or a musical theater song, and then I give them something totally different, whether it's a song in a different language, it's a song in a different style, it's a song that changes their range up. It's really important to challenge them. If they only sing songs they know, they will get bored, and if they only sing songs that they don't know, they will feel unfamiliar and strange. So a really nice mix of repertoire over the school year is really engaging for students and exciting. Number 7 is keep your class moving quickly. The age group has a shorter attention span than, say, your adults or your high school students, and try and have a couple of activities in the class. It doesn't necessarily always have to be singing music as well. You could do rounds, you could do solfa, you could do rhythm reading, you could do other activities that get them up and moving. My classes have been in the past 55 minutes. Next year we're going to 45, which I'm kind of really excited about because I think that 10 minutes makes all the difference. But you want to keep it exciting. I tend to try and have a little break or a stand-up activity in the middle because they can't sit that long. Really, it's a challenge for them. It's really a challenge for adults as well, but try and change it up so the class moves fast. I tend to do more than one piece of music as well within the class. Sometimes that could maybe not be the right strategy, but for the age group, it really helps keep momentum in the class. Number 8 is one that I found this year really helped me, which was prep way more in advance for performances. I do believe that all choirs, when they're learning, should perform in some way. And even if it's not on stage, it should be in some kind of recording. But you should make sure that the songs that they stand up and sing on stage, they know so well. They know so well that they kind of hate the song, but that, I always tell my students, is the best way of performing if you know the song inside and out. But it is your responsibility as the educator to make sure that they are prepared on stage. Middle school students can tend to be a little self-conscious. They're growing into new bodies and they already feel a little bit outside of their comfort zone, especially if you have students in your choir that don't like to sing. So it's your responsibility to make sure that when they get up on stage, they know their song so well. So this year, I'm starting in the first month Christmas, which sounds ridiculous when we're going back to school in September, but I just want to kind of, pepper in all our repertoire all the way through until Christmas in December, because often December as well, that by that time of year, there's not many classes left and there's so many interruptions. So I highly urge you as the educator to prep way earlier than you think for repertoire. In saying that, I would suggest that you don't only do the repertoire for the performances though. You don't necessarily always have to be teaching repertoire that you perform, but sometimes you have to. But just keep in mind to just pepper it in, like just say, oh, we're going to sing this in a couple of months. We're just starting it off now. It's really helpful. Number 9 in middle school, which is a great place to start, and I actually start with all my choirs at the beginning of the year, is to get them to sing unison well. It is wonderful that you have your choir singing 3 or 4 parts. That's incredible, well done to you. But just in case, you should just get them to sing in their first class or beyond unison really, really well. It boosts confidence, it makes them feel less self-conscious if they can sing something and it sounds beautiful, even if you're just singing the one line. So I in the past have done the opposite of that, and I've thrown them into 3-part and it has freaked them out. So I have found in my experience singing unison well is a really great way to start off the year or kick off the school year, but also to really boost confidence in students. Number 10 in middle school, and this is also a general point, is to really consider incentives. I'm not talking about food prizes. I think food prizes are a no-no in all schools, but you can be really creative about thinking of ways that you can get kids really excited. The last year that we just had, I tried 2 different activities that we had that kind of incentives. The first one was Secret Students, which was suggested to me by my music team, and it was so fun that I have a list of students, and each class I pick one name, and the other group of kids have to guess who the secret student is. So if they're off task, they're not doing the right job, I'm like, oh, secret student is not doing what they should be. Or I do the opposite, which is, oh, the secret student is really paying attention. They're doing such a good job. That was so much fun. And then at the end of the class, I get a little prize. I have a really cute prize box, which I call the Terribly Terrific Treasure Trove or something silly. And they really like it. And it has little stickers, it has bracelets. I actually make sure that there's lots of fun stuff and a range of stuff, because some kids will be like, oh no, a pencil again, which I understand. I don't really get excited about pencils, but there might be some different little treats in there and enough for the year, or sometimes I refill it. And I'm not all about spending a lot of money. It's very inexpensive, but they get so excited about the prize winner. And because I had a really big group this year, I did 2 at a time. However, I will say with this, by the end of the year, when you're prepping for concerts, you do not have the mental capacity to be doing secret students. So it was good and bad. So there was like points about that, but it was one that I tried that they really got excited about. So Secret Student was great. The second one I do is Grand Prize, which I think next year, going into the school year, I'm going to do Grand Prize, which is I actually do make a little prize, which is really cute and has like all different stuff. Sometimes it has a $5 gift card from Starbucks, which makes them really excited, which really with inflation should be like $8. But it has like a little grand prize, and they can win tickets. So anytime they do something impressive, or they get up and sing, or their vocal part sings something amazing, I give out tickets. And they write their name and give me the ticket back in the class, and then there's a raffle. I do one every 6 months. That was super fun. I did have to do one for each choir, which ended up being a little expensive because they didn't want to do, like my class 6 choir and my class 8 choir did not want to share the prize. I understand. So next year I'm going to have one for each choir, have it already made so they can see it or take a photo of it and show them so they get really excited. There's a few strategies. There's so many other strategies. So if you do have a really fun strategy about how to implement incentives, can you please put them in the description below? Because I would really love to try some new strategies this term or this semester. So thank you. We're nearly at the end, but number 11 is to ask for feedback, which is very intimidating, and you don't really want to be told anything beyond, oh my God, your class is my favorite. But I guarantee you that sadly, in middle school, your class might not be their favorite, and that's okay. I've made peace with that. But asking for feedback, so whether that's a little survey, it's a Google form. I tend to find surveys, paper surveys that you give them in class to get some feedback on, like, how did you feel about the repertoire? Did you feel welcome in the class? Do you have any things that would be improved? Like, I wouldn't just do a general question, because middle schoolers will just write yes, yes or no. But maybe if you can be really specific, like, did you like where you sat? Yes or no? And if you wrote no tell me about that. What was it that you didn't like it? Some of them will say, I didn't sit with my friend. That's fine. But there might be some feedback that you get back from students about repertoire, about performances, about class, about class dynamic. That might be very helpful for next year in your planning. And number 12 is to be patient. Middle school students are a very dynamic group. I love them very much, but they can be very challenging. You can have a challenging class or challenging week or challenging year in some cases. And there's, if you come from a place of love and a place of care, you can get over those hurdles and have a really great experience. But also make sure that you're patient with yourselves, because we are human and we make mistakes, and sometimes you might get upset in the class and it's not your fault and it's not the student's fault. Sometimes it's the system that you've been all put in, and you've just got to go in and make sure that you go in with an open heart and a patience to your students and to yourself. And with that, I wish you all the best luck. If you have any other tips for teaching middle school choir, please put them in the description below. I know our community would really love to read those. And until then, happy singing. Bye. Are you passionate about singing? If the answer is yes, then be sure to subscribe to the Happy Singing channel, where I try to make singer stuff super simple. Every month, new videos are launched focusing on singing and its devices. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on information which could help you become a better singer.